In my 7-year minimalist journey, I have decluttered and let go of hundreds, if not thousands of things. But what have I learned from all this? Here are 10 valuable tips to help you in your minimalist journey. Number 1, there is no one way to go about minimalism. I used to think that minimalism has a lot of restrictions, that my life needs to look certain way. I thought that there are things that you cannot buy or own, and then there are these things that you must have, like a capsule wardrobe or a home with minimalist furniture. But now I know that minimalism is not really about that. It's about first figuring out what really brings you value, then eliminating or reducing everything that is not important to you or not valuable to you, and then focusing on what is actually essential and appreciating the things that you have. So there is no one right way to be a minimalist. It's a very personal journey. Here's an example of this lifestyle spectrum, we could call it, by a Finnish author, Teemu Kunto, who wrote this book, Minimalism. On the top, we have maximalism, on the right, materialism, down below we have minimalism, and then on the left-hand side we have idealism. It creates these 4 different boxes here. On the bottom left, where the idealism and minimalism meet, we could put this asceticism, so you don't own things because of your own ideology. Then we have the idealist, maximalist, so for example a person who owns a lot of things but really wants to use them until the very last point that they can be used. Maybe for example for environmental reasons, this person doesn't want to let go of anything but keep them. And then this consumerist type of person we could put in the top right, where maximalism and materialism meet. And then the last one, so minimalist and materialist person, is for example somebody who wants to own things, but only things that are really quality and bring value to your life. So I think many minimalists, probably me included, fit exactly into this box, or at least on the spectrum. I'm more towards that than this very idealist that I don't want to own anything in my life. And I think this is very interesting spectrum to think where you put yourself in right now and maybe where you want to be. And of course there are no right or wrong answers here, like where you should be. It's completely personal. Lesson number 2, moving for minimalism. I realized that around the same time when I became a minimalist, I moved to another country, and I only could take 1 or 2 bags with me for this really long trip, and that forced me to think what is valuable to me and what isn't. And then living multiple years abroad with quite few stuff made me realize how much easier life is and how much easier it feels when you are not completely surrounded by stuff all the time. I think many people who have moved a lot during their life can agree with this. It's very good motivation for minimalism. It makes life so much easier. And I think overall the people who move, for example, every 2 years have so much less stuff than people who have lived in the same house for example, 20 or 30 years. I have now lived for 4 years in the same apartment, and it is more difficult to manage things and the clutter that comes in when you are settled somewhere. You have to be much more intentional and declutter more often. And the point of this lesson here was not necessarily that you need to move somewhere else and that will fix all your problems permanently, but to help you realize that your life situation and your life circumstances affect a lot your life's choices. And that moves us nicely to the next one, that people will not always understand your life choices. For example, when you are a minimalist and you don't want more furniture, more paintings, more toys for your kids, or more hobbies in your life, for some people it's out of their comprehension, because more is always better and new is always better.
New is always better.
Especially for older people like my grandparents, this sometimes has been difficult when they want to give me free stuff to my house, to my home that they donate. They want to contribute and give something. And then when I reject them politely, of course, and try to explain why that is, they might still not understand, and they think that why this person cannot just accept this gift that I'm trying to give. And that's okay if people don't really understand you. I think it's all about the communication, but we all have different values. So I don't understand a lot of choices my friends and family make, and I don't necessarily need to understand either. It's their own business. I think you can talk about your values and your choices to other people, but also don't feel forced to do so. Don't feel forced to explain yourself always. You have completely the right to make your own choices and be a minimalist and reject things if you want to. Number 4, do not overlook any clutter. Minimalism is not just about your home and your possessions. I think it's very healthy that you look at all the areas of your life and see if there's any clutter in any of them. And with clutter, I mean things that don't serve you, things that bring you stress and maybe worries, things that take focus away from you. For example, it took a very long time for me to realize that these 7-season-long TV shows are actually clutter for me. Everyone consumes them, they are fun, they create things to talk about, but they take the focus away from me and distract me from things that actually matter to me, from things that I actually want to experience in life. For you, this might not be clutter at all. Maybe you love them and they bring a lot of value to your life, but maybe you might have some clutter socially. It's very personal as well. So think about this for you. And this, of course, means the 5th lesson. So the benefits are way beyond a decluttered living space. Minimalism has given me that mental clarity, and that has helped me to make much better decisions in my life. You learn a lot about yourself and what is important to you, and also you stop caring what other people think about you little by little when you get to know yourself better and build that confidence. And a couple of other big benefits too, like you are doing really a service to this planet by being a minimalist, when you are buying less and you are creating less waste. And that means you are saving more, which can lead to this freedom. You probably know already about the FIRE movement, so financial independency, retire early. So you save so much money by being a minimalist, living frugally, that you can actually retire early and you don't have to think about work anymore. So a lot of benefits beyond this decluttered living space. Number 6, you will fail continuously. When you're a minimalist, or I think in general, living life, your situations change, your values change, priorities change. And since minimalism is so abstract thing, I think it's almost impossible to not do something that you later realize was a mistake. When you're a minimalist, you realize that we are actually constantly wrong about things, especially about what we need. For example, last year I bought 2 pairs of these hiking pants because I do that quite a lot, and I was really thinking that I need both of them. I will use them all the time. But now I've been using just 1 pair because that's actually enough. I like that 1 pair so much more. It feels much better on my skin. Through these failures or mistakes that you're doing, you get to know yourself better, your own needs better. Number 7, you need boundaries. Exactly because minimalism is so abstract and so personal, you need to set these boundaries or rules, different guidelines, so that you avoid making the same mistakes again and again. For example, for me in veganism, it's so easy because the rule is, or the rule what I have set to myself is that I don't consume anything that is animal based. And it's so clear. It's so simple for me to be vegan because I know where's the line. But with minimalism, it's much more complex because it changes continuously what you need and what you don't. So some of these rules, or how could I say, boundaries that I have set for myself are the 1 in, 1 out rule. This rule to not do impulse purchases, or then this 1 hour or 60-minute rule that I don't take my phone or use my phone in the first hour after waking up. You can get more ideas for these guidelines and rules in my last video. Here, the main point is just that you set some guidelines for yourself to simplify your life and avoid that clutter coming in your life all the time. Number 8, the real cost of stuff. Many times when we buy things, we just look at the price tag and think that that is the real value, that is the real cost, the price of that thing, but actually it might be way more than that. This is something that I actually learned from the Minimalist, so Joshua and Ryan. The true cost of stuff might come from the price paid, storing the thing, maintaining the thing, cleaning the thing, charging the thing, buying new batteries for the thing, or basically any extra accessories that it might need, fixing the thing, protecting the thing, and eventually replacing the thing and getting rid of the thing, which might be hard if it's something big. I value my time a lot, so when you add all of this up, buying new things, especially these big and expensive investments, they don't sound so fun anymore. Number 9, it forces you to rethink your life choices and purpose. I think one of the most crucial steps to creating a life you love is to figure out what success means to you individually. It might not be these big achievements or flashy things, or it might be, but then at least you understand better why you should pursue these things in your life. When I have been simplifying my life, I have realized that understanding my own beliefs and values, my own aspirations, and not just following the society's ones, is what is bringing me the real peace. I haven't achieved much externally, but still I believe to be very successful and very happy, content in my life. Number 10, you will never be a complete minimalist. I don't think there's such a thing as this complete, finished, level 100 minimalist that you can reach after doing this and that. And once you let go of this idea that you need to become a certain level of minimalist, you need to do certain things, and you can just accept you as you are, you can get these enlightened moments and feel really peace that you are okay as you are right now. And also what I mean by this is that simplifying life and decluttering is not just something you do once or twice and then you forget about it. It's something that follows you throughout your life. It's a continuous process, because if we just leave things be, over time the disorder will just set in and take over. This is called entropy, and this is exactly the reason why you need to build these systems in your own minimalist journey. If you want some practical tips for this, check out my video here. I got some very good stuff in that one. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to stay kind and meaningful in your own beautiful journey. See you in the next video.